Everyone knows Vincent van Gogh as a famous painter who created works like Starry Night. His paintings are now admired all over the world. But there is a part of his story most people don't know. During his lifetime, he sold very few paintings. He lived with financial struggle, isolation, and periods of mental distress. He depended on support from his brother Theo. At one point, in 1888 in Arles, after a serious conflict, he cut part of his own ear. This event shocked people, and is still discussed today. Why did this happen? What was really going on inside his mind during that time? Today, you will learn English through the untold story of Vincent van Gogh. In 1888, Vincent van Gogh moved to Arles, a town in the south of France. He wanted a fresh start. The bright light and warm colors of the region inspired him. He believed this place could help him grow as an artist. But he had a bigger idea. Van Gogh did not want to work alone. He dreamed of creating an artist community, a place where artists could live, work, and share ideas together. He imagined a space full of creativity and support. To make this idea real, he invited another artist, Paul Gauguin, to join him. Gauguin accepted and came to Arles. At first, this seemed like a good decision. Both artists were talented. Both were passionate about art. They began working together, painting and discussing ideas. Van Gogh was hopeful. He believed this partnership could become the start of his dream community. But the situation quickly became difficult. Van Gogh and Gauguin had very different personalities. Van Gogh worked with strong emotion and intensity. He painted quickly and followed his feelings. Gauguin, on the other hand, was more controlled and thoughtful. He preferred planning and structure. Because of these differences, they often disagreed. Their conversations became tense. Small differences turned into larger conflicts. Living and working in the same space increased the pressure. Over time, the situation became unstable. In December 1888, the conflict reached a critical point. The exact details are not fully known, but historical records confirm that after a serious argument, Gauguin decided to leave. That same night, Van Gogh experienced a severe emotional crisis. During this episode, he cut part of his own ear. This event is well documented and became one of the most well-known moments of his life. After this incident, Van Gogh needed medical care. He was taken to a hospital in Arles. His condition worried those around him. Gauguin left the city soon after and did not return. The dream of an artist community ended. What had started as a hopeful partnership turned into a painful separation. From the outside, it looked like a personal conflict between two artists. Two people with different ideas. Two strong personalities who could not work together. But this moment was more than just a disagreement. It showed something deeper about Van Gogh's life. It revealed the intensity of his emotions, the pressure he was experiencing, and the difficulty he had in maintaining stable relationships. It also marked a turning point. After this event, his life changed in important ways. His mental health became a more serious concern. His path as an artist continued, but under different conditions. This was not just a single moment. It was a sign of something deeper happening inside him. At first, it looked like a personal conflict, but later, it revealed something much deeper. After the incident in Arles, many people began to see Vincent van Gogh in a very simple way. They described him as unstable or a troubled artist. The story of his ear became widely known, and it shaped how people understood him. Newspapers and later stories often focused on dramatic events instead of deeper truth. From the outside, it looked like his life was only chaos. He moved often. He had emotional episodes. He lived alone for long periods. This became his public image. But this was not the full story. The private reality was much more complex and thoughtful. Van Gogh was not only emotional, he was also deeply reflective. One of the most important sources we have today is his letters to his brother, Theo van Gogh. These letters are carefully preserved and give us a clear view of his thinking. In these letters, Van Gogh explained his ideas in a calm and detailed way. He wrote about painting techniques. He described how colors work together. He explained how light changes the feeling of a scene. He also wrote about other artists and what he learned from them. His writing shows that he had strong awareness and purpose. He was not simply reacting to emotions. He was studying, thinking, and improving his work step by step. This is a very different image from the one many people imagine. He was not only a man of sudden actions, he was also a man of careful thought. At the same time, it is true that Van Gogh faced internal struggles. Historical evidence shows that he experienced periods of mental distress. These periods affected his emotions and behavior. Sometimes he felt overwhelmed. Sometimes his thoughts became difficult to manage. However, modern experts still do not agree on one exact diagnosis. Different ideas have been suggested, but no single explanation is confirmed. What we can say with certainty is this: he experienced intense emotional states. These moments were not constant, but when they came, they were powerful. They affected how he felt and how he acted. This made daily life more difficult. But even during these times, something important remained: his commitment to art. Van Gogh continued to paint through many challenges. In Arles, he worked with great energy. He created many paintings in a short time. He painted landscapes, fields, houses, and people. His colors became brighter. His brushstrokes became more expressive. He was not working randomly. He was developing a style. Later, after the incident, he entered a hospital in Saint-Rémy-de-Provence. This was not forced. He chose to go there to receive care and to find a more stable environment. Even in the hospital, he continued to paint. He observed the world around him and turned it into art. He painted gardens, olive trees, and the sky. One of his most famous works, the Starry Night, was created during this period. This tells us something very important. Painting was not only his job. It was his way of understanding his experience. When his thoughts were difficult, he painted. When his emotions were strong, he painted. Art became a way to express what he could not always say in words. From the outside, people saw confusion. But from the inside, he was trying to create order. His paintings were not accidents. They were efforts to give shape to his inner world. This contrast is important. The public saw a troubled man. But the reality was a person working with focus, even during difficult moments. He did not stop creating. He did not give up on his work. Even when he faced isolation, he continued to observe beauty in simple things. A field of wheat, a tree in the wind, or the night sky could become a subject of deep attention. He looked closely at the world. He tried to understand it, and then he expressed it through color and movement. This is what many people did not see. They saw the dramatic events, but they did not always see the effort behind them. They saw the result, but they did not always see the process. Van Gogh's life was not only about struggle. It was also about persistence, observation, and creation. From the outside, everything looked chaotic, but inside, he was trying to create meaning. This moment was not random. It was part of a pattern. If we look at Vincent van Gogh's life more carefully, we can see that his actions and experiences were connected. They were not only sudden events. They followed clear patterns in how he lived, worked, and expressed himself. The first pattern is intensity. Van Gogh experienced life very strongly. His emotions were deep, and they often influenced how he worked. When he painted, he did not do it slowly or without feeling. He worked with energy and focus. This intensity can be seen in his paintings. His brushstrokes are strong and visible. His colors are bright and expressive. He did not try to hide his feelings. He used them as part of his work. At the same time, this intensity was not only about emotion. It was also about concentration. When he worked, he focused deeply on what he was doing. He spent long hours painting, often repeating the same subject to understand it better. The second pattern is isolation. Van Gogh found it difficult to build stable relationships. He had some connections, especially with his brother Theo, but many of his other relationships were short or complicated. His time with Paul Gauguin in Arles is one example. They both wanted to create art, but their differences led to conflict. After a short time, they could not continue working together. Because of this, Van Gogh often worked alone. This isolation was not always a choice. Sometimes it was the result of misunderstanding or difference in personality. But over time, it became part of his life. Working alone gave him freedom, but it also increased his distance from others. The third pattern is dedication. Despite many difficulties, Van Gogh continued to work. He produced a large number of paintings in a short period. Most of his well-known works were created in the last years of his life. This shows how committed he was to his art. Even when he faced financial problems, he did not stop. Even when he experienced emotional difficulty, he continued. His dedication was consistent. He did not wait for perfect conditions. He worked with what he had, where he was. This level of effort is important to understand. His work was not only the result of talent. It was also the result of continuous practice and persistence. The fourth pattern is expression. For Van Gogh, art was not only about showing the outside world. It was also about expressing his inner experience. He used color, movement, and composition to communicate feeling. A simple scene, like a field or a sky, became something more. It became a way to show emotion and thought. This is why his paintings feel different. They are not only visual images. They are expressions of how he experienced the world. If we look at all these patterns together, we can see a deeper meaning. Intensity, isolation, dedication, and expression were not separate parts of his life. They worked together. His intensity gave energy to his work. His isolation gave him space to focus. His dedication kept him moving forward. His expression gave purpose to his art. From the outside, these patterns may look like instability. People may see strong emotion, distance from others, and unusual behavior. But when we look deeper, we can understand something else. These patterns were part of his process. They helped him create. They helped him explore. They helped him express what he felt. This does not mean his life was easy or simple, but it does show that there was meaning behind his actions. Sometimes what looks like chaos is actually a search for meaning. In 1889, Vincent van Gogh made an important decision. After the incident in Arles and ongoing emotional difficulty, he chose to enter a hospital in Saint-Rémy-de-Provence. This was not forced. He understood that he needed a more stable place, where he could receive care and also continue his work. This decision shows awareness. He was not giving up. He was trying to manage his condition in a better way. Life in the hospital was different from before. His daily routine became more structured. He had time to rest, but also time to observe and paint. He was allowed to go outside under supervision, and he could look at nature closely. And most importantly, he continued to paint. This period became one of the most productive phases of his life. He created many paintings of olive trees, gardens, and landscapes. He also painted from memory and imagination when he could not go outside. But something deeper was happening inside him. He began to accept certain limitations. Before, he often struggled against his condition. He wanted to control everything, including his emotions. But over time, he started to understand that some things could not be fully controlled. Instead of fighting constantly, he adjusted. This was an important internal shift. He focused more deeply on what he could do. He painted with more intention. He observed more carefully. He worked with what was possible in each moment. Something inside him changed. This change was not about becoming completely calm or free from difficulty. It was about learning how to continue despite it. His relationship with art also became clearer. Before, he hoped that his work might be recognized. He wanted to improve and to find a place in the art world. But now, recognition became less important. Art became a way to understand his own experience. When he painted, he was not only creating images. He was organizing his thoughts and emotions. He was giving form to what he felt inside. This gave his work a different quality. His paintings became more personal, more direct, more connected to his inner world. After some time in Saint-Rémy, Van Gogh moved to Arles in 1890. There, he lived near a doctor, Paul Gauguin, who had an interest in art and supported him. In Arles, Van Gogh continued to work actively. He painted fields, houses, and landscapes around the village. His work remained strong and focused. He continued to explore color and movement in new ways. This final phase of his life was short, but very productive. He did not stop. Even after years of difficulty, he continued to create. However, his condition remained complex. Despite moments of clarity and focus, he still faced emotional challenges. In July 1890, Van Gogh died from a gunshot wound, widely understood by historians as self-inflicted. This was the end of his life. But it is important to understand this moment carefully. His life was not defined only by this ending. It was shaped by years of effort, thought, and creation. The shift that happened in Saint-Rémy did not remove all difficulty, but it changed how he lived with it. He moved from resistance to acceptance, from confusion to expression. And through this change, he created some of the most meaningful works in art history. Vincent van Gogh's story reminds us that life is often more complex than it appears. Many people only see the surface, famous paintings, dramatic events, or simple labels. But the truth is deeper. The first lesson is that not everything is visible. From the outside, Van Gogh's life looked difficult and unstable. But inside, he was thinking, learning, and creating with purpose. What people see is only a small part of the full story. The second lesson is that creativity often comes from deep emotion. Van Gogh used his feelings as a source of expression. His art was not only about what he saw, but also about what he experienced inside. Another important lesson is that people are more complex than labels. It is easy to describe someone in a simple way, but real life is not simple. Van Gogh was not only a troubled artist. He was also dedicated, thoughtful, and persistent. Finally, growth can happen quietly. Not all progress is visible. Sometimes the most important changes happen inside, without attention from others. Now, let's practice speaking together. Repeat after me. I am more than what people see. My story has hidden parts. I grow in ways others don't notice. Take your time. Speak slowly and clearly. You can pause and repeat to improve your pronunciation. Now, think about your own life. What is one part of your life that people don't see? It could be something you are working on, a challenge you are facing, or a goal you have not shared. If you feel comfortable, write your answer in the comments below. If you learned something new from this story, don't forget to like the video. And subscribe to Legend Stories English to continue learning English through meaningful and inspiring stories.